What's up, everybody? Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com, HAWGsports.com. Arkansas coming off of a 2010 loss to the Texas Longhorns, and we're going to look back on that a little bit. We'll look ahead, of course, to the upcoming game against the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs, a team that might be a little bit better than their record says they are. Of course, we'll look at the basketball game against Pacific today. We'll have Connor Goodson hop on, talk a little bit about that, and we'll discuss a few other things here and there. All that more on today's episode of Hog Sports Live. Quite a number of ways to watch and listen to the show. You can always tune in on YouTube. Be sure to follow the page, set to where you're alerted whenever we upload new videos with the notification bell. Give us a like or a thumbs up, whichever it is on that platform. Same thing with Facebook. Be one of 90,000 Razorback fans to follow the page there. We also put all of our free content out on Facebook, so check us out at the Hog Sports Facebook page and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. And if you have a little more time, leave a review. Let others know what to think about the show if you enjoy it, what they can expect from us. Spotify, Stitcher, wherever else podcasts are. Stitcher even around? I don't think it is. Google Podcasts, wherever you find your favorite podcast, that's where we are. All right, Arkansas, Missouri kickoff time is officially announced. I don't know if that changed anything. I think it was always 2:30, but it'll be on SEC Network. It's a far cry from the CBS spot. Far cry from being LSU on a Friday. But it is on a Saturday this year in Columbia, Missouri. That's an important game for Arkansas. I'll tell you why it's an important game, because, a lot of people didn't like what I said. A lot of people didn't like what I said on the Walk and Talk. Now, this is in regard to Sam Pittman being back next year, okay? What I report, and I didn't report this just after the game. I think just, the popularity of the Walk and Talk, more people probably saw it. But I've been reporting this since Monday on our message board on Hog Sports, since last Monday, that barring something crazy, that's how I put it, Sam Pittman's going to be back next year. There was a lot of stuff going around during the bye week after the loss to Ole Miss that he's going to retire because of his health reasons, or he's ready to hang it up, or he's not happy, all this kind of stuff. But again, what I've been told from a very reliable source is barring something crazy, Sam Pittman will be back next year. A lot of people didn't like that. A lot of people say that like I'm a mouthpiece for the university. Just because you don't like the message, don't shoot the messenger, okay? Don't shoot me over it just because you don't like it. It's the same stuff that was happening when I was reporting that Chad Morris was going to be the next Arkansas coach. Trey, why are you trying to shove Chad Morris down our throats here? You've been wrong so many times before. Okay, I've been wrong before. When we're talking about predictions, right? Prognostications, those kinds of things, okay. We're talking about reporting the news. We're talking about breaking news. You might have to go back a ways. You might have to go back to the 2010s to find a time that I've been wrong on something like that. When it comes to reporting the news, I like the track record, okay? So interesting that people would say that. I get you don't like the message, but let's don't shoot the messenger here, okay? Those who have been paying attention know that I'm an independent journalist. I'm not a mouthpiece for the University of Arkansas. That's ridiculous. I'm certainly not a gopher. Okay, let's just make that clear. I appreciate everybody out there. Appreciate everybody listening to what I say. But I'm just reporting things that I hear from very reliable sources, and I don't put it out there unless I feel pretty damn good about it. Okay, so let's just make that clear. You may not like the message. Let's not shoot the messenger here. I'm not giving you some ringing endorsement over it. I'm just telling you, barring something crazy. Now, what's crazy? What would be crazy? Crazy, maybe not buying a billboard. I saw the billboard. I get people want to voice their freedom of speech and put out what they believe, and, banners. I've seen all that kind of stuff. But what crazy in this term would probably be like a loss to Louisiana Tech. 6-6 is going to get Sam Pittman retained next year. He's coming back. He's not retiring early, all that kind of stuff, unless something crazy happens. So if something crazy happens, then sure. And who knows how to predict crazy? Who knows how to predict it? Can you say crazy anymore? I don't think you can say crazy. Something, you can't say insane. Barring something unexpected, wildly unexpected. How about that? That'll appease everybody, the PC crowd out there. So barring something wildly unexpected, Sam Pittman's going to be back at Arkansas next year. I was reporting that before the Texas game also. just to be clear. This wasn't something that came out just after the Texas game. Now, if you wanted to really appease people, Sam Pittman obviously beat Louisiana Tech and beat them soundly. But go to Columbia and beat Missouri. Go to Columbia and beat Missouri. It's doable. I mean, that was a great game, by the way, South Carolina and Missouri on Saturday. But, like, if you want to, like, quiet people, if you want to build a little bit of momentum next year, 6-6 just ain't going to do it. Like, it's not. People aren't thrilled with the state of the football program right now, 6-6. Like, nobody's happy about that, okay? And I think Sam Pittman knows that. I think people at the university know that. I think that they feel that their best opportunity to win next year is to retain Sam Pittman, invest in NIL, bring in some more players, and try to make a run and do something good next year. But at 6-6, it's just going to be a toxic offseason. I mean, it just is. 6-6 means you lost the second half of the season. You only beat a bad Mississippi State team and a bad Louisiana Tech team. That's all it means. It means you lost to Missouri and Columbia again. It means you lost to Texas. It means you lost to Ole Miss. It means you lost to LSU. That's how the second half of the season goes. That's not a lot of momentum being generated. And again, who knows what happens in a bowl game. But if you beat Missouri, then you've ended that streak. You've ended the regular season on a high note. You've got weeks to prepare for a bowl game with some positive energy. And if you win the bowl game, I don't know that anybody can sit here and say that something should have been done and a change needed to be made because they only won 8 games. So that, to me, would be an ideal scenario for Arkansas, is to win out. Win the last 3 games. That would be ideal. Some thunder. That way you get Bobby Petrino back in year 2. You know his offense is going to be better in year 2. We've talked about that a lot. What it was like in year 1 at Arkansas versus year 2. Again, you had Ryan Mallett at quarterback. I get that. But you got a better chance of having a better offense with Petrino back. Get some things figured out on defense. Keep the guys that you need to keep and get rid of some guys and bring in some key players, some key additions out of the transfer portal. And if the NIL situation is good enough to where you can do that, then maybe you can do something next year. But I don't think there's any secret that 6-6 wouldn't cut it next year. Like, that's not gonna get it done. Like, the only reason that 6-6 cuts it this year is because, that means you won 3 conference games. Obviously, you improved over last year after last year's disaster. You improved over that. That's the only reason 6-6 would work this year in the minds of, nobody's like satisfied with 6-6. In fact, a lot of people want immediate satisfaction, want change, and all that stuff. I get that. But 6-6, that would not cut it next year. Like, if everything's, nothing crazy happens, nothing wildly unexpected. It's frustrating when the wildly unexpected happens. So if you want consistency, you should check out our friends at Ozarks Go, because nothing wild or unexpected, nothing crazy about Ozarks Go. It just steadily works time and time again. OzarksGo.net/Hawg, HAWG. Reach out to them there, and you can enter the promo code BIDDY1, the number 1, and you can get a free month. Great service. They're not going to jack your rates up year 1 to year 2. You can reach out to them at 479-684-4900 and talk to a local person, which is really cool because Ozarks Go is not everywhere in Northwest Arkansas, but it's a lot of places, and it's expanding always. And when you call the number, if you want to talk to somebody, you want to see their coverage map on OzarksGo.net/Hawg, when you talk to somebody, at least, and you call them, you're going to talk to somebody from the area who knows what you're talking about, not somebody at some call center or something. So I've said it before, my endorsement on Ozarks Go is I've never unplugged and replugged my router. It has been plugged in for 3.5 years since I've had these guys, before they were ever a sponsor of the show. So I've been really pleased with the service at Ozarks Go. Several different tiers of internet. OzarksGo.net/Hawg, promo code BIDDY1. Okay. I like those guys too. They were kind of taking shots at me, though. It's a good name for a podcast also. All right, Louisiana Tech. Let's take a look at them real quick. All right, and we're going to bring Connor on in just a second because we're going to jump into basketball. We got a little bit to talk about here with recruiting also, get his intake on that, take on that. But I want to look at Louisiana Tech's schedule real quick because I always like what Josh Pate says. Your schedule is not what is your schedule, your record is not – hell, what's the quote? You're not always what your record says you are. And Louisiana Tech is 4-6. Okay, so let's look at it a little bit. They beat Nichols to open the season. They lost to NC State. NC State's 5-5. Arkansas is 5-5. Again, ACC team versus SEC. That's probably a difference there, obviously. But they lost 30-20 to NC State. I don't know that a 30-20 win over Louisiana Tech is going to leave people going like, okay, all right, things are moving in the right direction. They need to beat them worse than 30-20, in my opinion. Again, it's not going to change that Sam Pittman's back as long as he wins the game, but the attitude that people have in the future of the program. Beat Louisiana Tech soundly. Go beat Missouri. That's doable. It's possible to do that. I'm not predicting it. I'm just saying it's possible. And then win a bowl game. That's the way to generate a little bit of momentum. All right, but anyway, 30-20 I don't think is going to do it. They lost to Tulsa 23-20 in overtime. It's the first overtime loss they had. They lost to FIU by a touchdown. They beat Middle Tennessee State soundly. They lost to New Mexico State in 2 overtimes, 33-30. They beat UTEP. They lost what did they lose by? 6 points to Sam Houston. They lost to Jacksonville State in overtime, the third overtime game. And that Jacksonville State team is actually pretty good. Jacksonville State, I think they opened like losing their first 3, and then they won. They've not lost since September 14th. They have not lost. Again, we're talking about Group of 5 team. Western Kentucky, they beat Western Kentucky last weekend. Western Kentucky, they beat them 12-7. Western Kentucky has only lost to Alabama and Boston College. They got a good team. Again, G5 level, you'd expect, Arkansas to beat any of those teams that I just mentioned, with the exception of maybe NC State. That might be a game. But all these other teams, Arkansas, you would expect them to wipe the floor with them. But I just think that's notable. They beat Western Kentucky that has only lost to those 2 teams. I mean, they're the class of Conference USA. Jacksonville State's a really good Conference USA team. I'm just saying, they're a little bit better than 4-6, and they got to win Saturday if they want to go to a bowl game. I don't even know if 6-6 gets Conference USA to a bowl game or not, honestly. Okay, let's go to Connor. Connor is en route to Fayetteville. He's going to be in town for the Pacific game, so he's traveling right now. Getting back up here. For those who don't follow Connor, you can follow him at Connor Goodson on X. Does a great job for us. Has been with us for almost a year now. And he's a great, important follow for Razorback basketball also. I know he said he was going to stop and get something to eat on the way. So I don't know if he has.
This is Auburn.
That was not the right number. That was not the right number. It wasn't my roofer, though.
Well, what's up, Trey?
Hey, Connor. How's it going? I accidentally called the wrong number.
Well, that's not good. You caught me at a really good time. The clouds just opened up here. I'm about an hour hour away from Bud Walton here, and the clouds just opened up. So I'm pulling over and stopping for a second. Might grab me a little snack before.
Good deal.
Before we go watch the Hogs tonight.
Well, the thunder has started up here, so you might be coming into the storm. You might be in the calm before the storm getting up here. But I want to talk to you first before we talk a little bit about the Pacific game. Obviously, Isaiah Sely committed to Arkansas. He is the number 70 overall prospect in the nation on the 24/7 Sports Composite ranking, number 1 recruit in Arkansas. And how did this recruitment unfold? It was, first of all, it was an interesting announcement day because we were told it was going to be 2:30 on 24/7 Sports. The next thing you know, it's being reported. I think the university had sent something out too.
Yeah, the university pulled the trigger right at noon on a press release, and I guess they had some stuff scheduled, and maybe somebody got a little trigger happy with that. But yeah, we were told it was supposed to be at 2:30, so we kind of had everything ready to go for that, and yeah, they kind of it's a tough look. Danny is also, can relate to this. You don't want to spoil a kid's moment. Like they work their whole, career at a certain sport, leading up to that moment to make a decision for them. And it was a really special moment for Isaiah, and it kind of sucks that it got spoiled for him. But yeah, his recruitment, like you said, it was a little interesting. He was pursued by the previous staff, Eric Musselman, and then they offered him, and he was kind of on Calipari's radar after he got hired a little bit, but he wasn't really a focal point. And then over the summer, I think Calipari saw him at a couple different events like the EYBL circuit, and saw him up close and personal, and really fell in love with his game. And they extended him an offer. I believe it was in June, or it was either June or July, when they re-offered him a scholarship. And they've kind of been really tight. I know he visited like Ole Miss unofficially. St. Louis was another one that he unofficially visited, but yeah, he was really, Calipari's pedigree, his track record, and all of that kind of stood out, and that was what ultimately won the Hogs over.
Yeah. Well, it seems like a really good addition. It makes Arkansas's recruiting class the number 4 nationally. I'll say this too, like it happens sometimes. I mean, it's just unavoidable, and it's obviously not intentional. Nobody intended to do that. We did, I think, right when me and Danny left Rivals and came over to 24/7 Sports, and 24/7 Sports had a little bit different platform. And I had gone down to Little Rock to interview Zach Williams because he was committing to Arkansas. We did a whole deal and everything. Danny had the announcement story ready, and he saved it in the admin. Well, for whatever reason, and scheduled it. I think he scheduled it to go off because it was going to be a scheduled deal. And for whatever reason, it filtered that story to Zach Williams' profile page and had Zach Williams commits to Arkansas by Danny West. And I mean, Danny felt terrible about it. And I don't think he's ever done that before, but it was an accident. Like he didn't even publish it. It was just something that filtered through. Anyway, 24/7 later changed whatever was set up there. Hold on, I got an alarm going off. 24/7 later changed all that stuff, and but yeah, that was an unfortunate deal. But it has happened from time to time, and I mean, obviously nobody's trying to get a scoop. University's not trying to scoop everybody. Just an accident, unfortunately.
I bet it was people getting wires crossed, or somebody was setting something up to go out and hit the wrong thing, and it sucks for the kid. And you don't want to be that guy to ruin an announcement. We have things like crystal balls where we say this is probably going to happen. But with recruiting, you never know for sure until the recruit actually says it. You hear the words from his own mouth, and he signs his papers. Usually is when it's a done deal. So it can look like a done deal, but up until the recruit makes that decision, it's not. But solid addition. He's going to be probably more of a developmental piece for the Razorbacks, I think. Reminds me a little bit of Jordan Burks, who Arkansas fans might remember, was brought in by Calipari, was kind of highly rated, but 3-4 star borderline. He's at Georgetown now, but he visited Arkansas, was considering following Calipari from Kentucky to Arkansas, but he was one of those guys that was a developmental piece and was probably going to crack into the rotation eventually. And I think that we'll see that with Sely. I think he's a little bit further along and a little bit better polished player, but you can kind of see that blueprint for what Calipari's vision is.
Yeah, it's important to bring in these top 100 prospects who are developmental guys. it's amazing that's where we are, and like Billy Richmond is like number 27 ranked prospect in the entire country, and in most years he would be like the most celebrated recruit that we're talking about.
Exactly.
And now it's just like, hey, can he, where can he get in to find some minutes, So it's just a different world. I always think about this too, like with Calipari, like obviously we're in a pretty special time in terms of like those who love following recruiting and stuff. And we'll see what happens on the court. Obviously, I think that he's going to have a lot of success. I think when you think about Calipari's legacy, like, is it going to end with like just not getting the job done at Arkansas? I can't see that. I think he's going to have success here. But what's Arkansas basketball look like after Cal? Like that's the mind that people, that a lot of fans, diehard fans, like they're not just thinking about what's happening now. They're thinking about what's going to happen after the fact. Connor, I wanted to bring you to this game against Pacific. What you've looked at Pacific, what can you tell us about this game? And I don't know, just give us a little bit of insight maybe on what's on the horizon for Arkansas basketball.
Well, they're a pretty much entirely brand new team. They've got a new coach in Dave Smart. They didn't win a single West Coast Conference game last season, so they made a coaching change. The only returning player is their big man, Burke Smith, who is not really even a main contributor. Plays sparingly here and there, but 3-2, they're in the midst of a 2-game losing streak. This is actually the first time that they've ever played a game in the state of Arkansas. It's the first time that they've ever played Arkansas, obviously. So it's one of those games where, they have some decent pieces. They have some guys that are capable of shooting that might could give Arkansas trouble for a little bit, but you really expect Arkansas to just kind of, that depth, that talent. I shouldn't say depth. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. We don't know if we're going to see Brazil. We don't know if we're going to see Adu. So they may have just 6 or 7 guys ready to go. So they may not have that depth, but Arkansas's talent should, shine and be enough to let them pull away, late first half, early second half at the very least. But this is a game that I think is going to really help Arkansas kind of get their confidence up. You hope that they come out looking crisp, looking like they're ready to play and ready to put on a show and make easy work of Pacific. But yeah, it's a game that you don't really expect to in the second half be really close.
Yeah, hopefully that'll be the case, and maybe some good 3-point shooting aside from Zvonimir Ivisic. It'd be nice to see Nelly and Jonas Adu. Is he where is he right now in terms of? I think Cal said like something about 75%. I don't know if is that like getting into playing shape or is that still?
Well, he said that he's healthy. Mm-hmm. He's just now what Cal said in his press conference is he's healthy now, but it's more of like a pain management thing, and that he's trying to figure out how to play with some pain, which I don't know, that seems a little contradictory to me. Like if he's still having pain, then maybe he's not healthy. But I think that maybe more so it's game shape because, he did miss a big chunk of summer and like he didn't really go too hard during the tip-off tour. So it's probably more of a conditioning thing and getting back into the swing of things. And maybe he's had some setbacks. It's kind of hard to really pinpoint exactly where he is when there's, so much, fog and not a bunch of transparency with this staff on injuries. But, yeah, I think that he's still probably, if I don't have any inside info on him, but, if I had to guess, he's probably still about a week or 2 away from being, getting 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Just my guess from seeing him and hearing what Cal wants from him. So
I'll take a week or 2. A week or 2 is maybe 10 days, Connor. In a week or 2 is about 10 days, I think, maybe. Illinois getting back full speed for that one.
That's kind of what I was thinking, getting back for, having the full squad healthy, kind of rolling, see where you measure up against Illinois. That would be a perfect, starting point. And then you got a couple games here and there to get ready before you go to New York in Madison Square Garden against Michigan. That's kind of your next test after that. I think maybe when exactly is the Miami game? Is that before or after the Michigan game?
It's before. Remember. It's so you got Illinois on Thanksgiving, and then you've got you're at Miami the following Tuesday, and then you've got UTSA in Fayetteville, and then it's on to the Jimmy V Classic at Madison Square Garden.
Okay, so yeah, getting Adu healthy, getting everyone back. I mean, I don't expect Brazil to be out. I mean, I know that ankle looked gnarly. That injury that he had last week looked pretty gnarly, but it doesn't look like something that probably is going to, keep him out for an extended period of time. You hope.
Well, it looked to me like it would, Connor. Have you sprained your ankle like that?
Okay, well, me and you, yeah, I would probably be in the ER saying no.
Well, I mean, I'm talking like the first time I really sprained my ankle, Connor, like really bad. I was going to flush it. I was going to dunk it. And I think I was bringing down a rebound. But I was in high school, and I remember it came. And I don't know if I've had anything hurt as bad as that. I think I came down on somebody's foot, when I was coming down. And man, and I tried to get away with it and walk around, and it would not heal. And my whole foot was fat, and my toes were blue. It had swollen up so much. But it looked, when I saw the way his ankle went, I was just like, man, that's going to be a softball. And what's crazy about those sometimes is you feel like, okay, I'm okay. You walk it off. The next thing you know, your ankle's gigantic. I think he probably sits today.
Yeah, I don't think that we see Brazil today, but hopefully you get him back by Illinois game.
Oh,
I don't think that's anything that
No, I think we'll see him by Illinois. Yes.
I think in just how they've approached these games early in the season, like they're going to, err on the side of caution more so than, we really need him to, give us a spark against Pacific. I don't think that that's their mindset tonight.
Mm-hmm.
At least I hope that they don't. That's not what they're expecting it to be close, where Brazil's the difference maker. But yeah, I think, if you can aim to get everyone back to where you have your 9 guys, even if it's like their first game as a unit of 9, getting them for Illinois and going through that stretch of Miami and then UTSA and then Michigan, that's a really good measuring stick, especially you think about conference play is in the, it's in the near view. Right after that, I mean, also you can't really, it's not too early to think about tournament resume and seeding.
Mm-hmm.
This team has aspirations to make it to the tournament. And, if you get those 9 guys back, it could really help you pick up a win or two in that stretch and go 2-3. And those are some really good quality wins that could help, boost your resume if some of those teams do damage in their respective conferences.
Yeah. What do you think about Louisiana Tech switching over to football? You looked at that game at all?
Do what? Say that again.
Have you looked at that game at all?
Haven't really. I've seen Louisiana Tech on College Football 25. I know Zach Zimos is or Zimos, however you say his name. Zimos.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
second leading
over
tackler.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, second leading tackler. Yeah, they like you said, I don't know if you said it in today's show, but you said it last week about they beat a pretty good Jacksonville State team, and then they knocked off they almost beat Jacksonville State, and then they beat a Western Kentucky team that was pretty good. Like I think they had 7 wins on the year, so they're playing some good football.
Connor, Western Kentucky has lost to Alabama and Boston College, and that was it. And they got smoked by Alabama, but against Boston College, they lost 21-20 to Boston College. 21-20. Boston College is not bad. They're not bad.
Not bad this year.
And Louisiana Tech beat them. I'm just looking at it, and I don't think that Arkansas is going to lose to them. I just, you don't want to come out and have a UAB performance or a Kent State.
If you come out with a UAB performance, I think that could spell some trouble, because this Louisiana Tech, I'm not saying that it feels exactly like the Western Kentucky from like 2019, but for some reason those late, we saw it with like Liberty,
mm-hmm.
those late season games where it's hard to get up if they're not a conference opponent, and they're a group of 5 opponent. It's hard to mentally get up for those kind of games, and Arkansas under Pittman has struggled in those situations. If you come out with the UAB mindset where we're not, we can't answer any questions about what UAB does defensively in the press conference.
Yep.
You come in with that attitude, it's probably not going to be a good look, and it's probably going to be a sloppy game. You'll be lucky to walk out with a win. But
at the same time, Connor, that they're not going to put everything they got into the game. Like, for example, you think Patrick Kudus is playing in this game? Pittman was kind of coy about it. Like, he's either not going to play Missouri or he's not going to play Louisiana Tech. We'll have to wait. So he's not playing this game, because if he plays this one and Missouri, then he burns his red shirt. And that's not what they're planning on doing with him. So they're going to sit Patrick Kudus. They wouldn't do that if they were worried, about losing the game.
Right.
But things like that, that they're not going to have like their A+ game plan, all this stuff. But they need to come out with enough energy and focus in this one and understand somebody's got to make some plays and all that stuff, because this is bowl eligibility. And, you mentioned like it might cause some problems. It's not going to cause like problems if they win, but it will, in terms of like Sam Pittman's status. The problems that it will cause is this fan base is, already disgruntled, obviously, but like if you come out and play like ass against Louisiana Tech and then lose to Missouri and you're 6-6, and I laid out how that looks, the games that you lost and the games that you won. People, it's, how the off season gets. I've seen some toxic off seasons. And that is the recipe to enter an off season where people are just pissy and apathetic and nobody's happy with it. And, calling the university out for not invested in winning, all those kinds of things happen amongst the fans. That's when you start seeing not just billboards, but banners. I don't have to explain to anybody who's been a Razorback fan for long enough what happens when the offseason gets toxic. To me, like, go out there and beat Louisiana Tech soundly, and then, man, if they could beat Missouri, that sure would make things feel a little bit better in the offseason. And then win a bowl game, of course. I don't know how you could argue with 8 wins if that were to come to pass, but I'm certainly not predicting any of that. I'm just saying, like, the best possible outcome would probably be win.
Yeah, and to your point, if we were looking at this before the season and you told me that Arkansas would beat 4th-ranked Tennessee and go 6-6 and make it to a bowl game, I think that there is a large portion of fans that would take that and be like, oh, it's an improvement from last season. And you get to a chance to go to a bowl game and maybe win seven games. Obviously,
Would you take that, Connor? Would you take 6-6? I don't know that I would. I don't think if somebody presented me with 6-6, I don't think I would take it.
I mean, you don't want to take it, but considering I picked them to go 5-7 entering the season, if you would have told me, hey, well, they're actually going to get to a bowl game, then I probably would. But this is what I was getting at, is when you're in it and, there's something like momentum and, your overall feeling when you can kind of remove yourself from just strictly looking at the record and the numbers, when there's a feeling like the trajectory, the momentum, all of that stuff matters. The excitement from the fans and stuff, and going out laying an egg against Louisiana Tech, winning a close game, and then losing to Missouri, that 6-6 is a lot different than just looking at it on paper and saying 6-6 is okay. But when you're sitting in it and when you're living in it, and you get a result like those two to end the year, it's hard to generate momentum, and you set yourself up for a very toxic offseason, like you were just explaining. And so that's kind of my thing, is like if they come out and they're not ready, and Pittman doesn't have them focused and ready to make a statement kind of game, and they are letting Louisiana Tech hang around to the second half, it's one of those things where you open yourself up to not having momentum and that apathy really setting in the off season, and making for some very tough conversations and tough support from fans.
All right, Connor. Safe travels, brother.
All right. Appreciate you, Trey.
All right, everybody. Connor Goodson. Again, follow him at Connor Goodson on X. He's an important follow because he's got a lot of great basketball information and does a lot of other things for us, as you can tell. Arkansas and Pacific is tonight at 7:00. That game will be on, I believe it's the Plus, right? Yeah, SEC Network Plus. So you'll need to stream that. For those of you who don't know, you don't need like a separate ESPN subscription, ESPN Plus subscription. If you already get SEC Network on your regular channel guide, then you can get it. You just have to use, watch ESPN, or not watch ESPN. I guess it's just ESPN now, but you can watch it that way, or you can use your credentials for like whatever service you have, YouTube, satellite, whatever, cable, and log on to the app that way. So you'll be able to watch the game. Arkansas is 23.5-point favorites, by the way. I want to make this clear too. Like on Arkansas, if this were 2019, I think that there was probably a good chance that Sam Pittman would have been fired last year. Okay. And possibly this year also. But it's not 2019 anymore. A big thing that's coming up is the revenue sharing model. And I think athletic directors, you're seeing it at Florida too, because Florida coming off a nice win. I think athletic directors and athletic departments are looking at their situation. So the Arkansas Razorbacks brought in $167 million in revenue last year, and they spent all but $800,000 of that. All but $800,000. When revenue sharing comes, it's going to take the average revenue of all the major college teams and average that out, and to where it's 20% of the revenue. It's going to come out to about $20 to $23 million per athletic department to be able to spend on basically what is NIL, because it's money basically that comes from TV revenue. It's a workaround to still call it NIL, where the university can pay the NIL money because they're on TV. Their name, image, and likeness is on television. So that's the kind of sharing model you have. You still are going to have NIL collectives and things like that. I think that it's possible that those will be mitigated just a little bit. But what athletic departments are trying to figure out right now is we got to carve out $23 million from our budget and pay these student athletes, if you want to call them that still. And so I think that part of it is, do we go out and hire a new coach? Do we pay Sam Pittman 75% of his remaining contract, which is what he would be owed right now, because since 2021, he is over 500. If he's below 500, then it would be 50%. So do we pay Sam Pittman his massive buyout? Do we pay all the coordinators their buyouts, assistant coaches, all that kind of stuff, and then bring in a coach and pay his buyout for wherever you get him from, and pay his new salary, all the coordinators' new salary, all of those things? Is that the best way to spend the money internally when you're going to have to carve out $20 million plus? $20 million plus. So I think that's probably why you see teams like saying, okay, let's invest in NIL. Let's try to, get this thing right from a personnel perspective, and let's run it back another time if we can. That's what I think. That's why I think this is. I don't think it's because of people are content or satisfied with 6-6. I think they say, what's our best chance at being successful long term? That's what I think. Nobody has said that to me. That's what I think. I think that makes a lot of sense, actually, in terms of why somebody would think that way. Now, you also, when you make a coaching change nowadays, until the timeline changes a little bit, and I don't know if it is, but until the timeline changes, you make a coaching change, then National Signing Day is December 4th. The SEC championship game hasn't even been played. This is like right after the last regular season game, the Wednesday after. So that's a turnaround. Like, you're going to have to start firing your coach in the middle of the season and saying, tough luck to anybody else. Sorry about the respectful courtesy of, letting you know we're coming after your coach, and we're going to talk to him mid-season just because that's what we got to do for ourselves. Like, that's where it's headed with the calendar the way it is. But it's not just that signing day. Signing days are important. But where you cripple your program is if you don't, especially if you're Arkansas, if you're a program that's not exceedingly healthy, you cripple yourself by not hitting the transfer portal hard. And the transfer portal starts right then. I mean, it's right then. And if you don't get on somebody early and you don't get them in for a visit, you're going to be in trouble when it comes to transfer portal. You just are. So until they like say, tough luck, if you can transfer, but if you want to do it, you got to do it in the spring semester. Until they do something like that, it's going to make it difficult to hire a coach and then have success the following year. Somebody was in my comment section saying, well, look at Curt Cignetti. I mean, Curt Cignetti is an outlier. Okay, that happens. Yeah, my granddad smoked till he was 94. He's an outlier. He lived till he's 94. That's not real. He didn't do that. But I'm just saying, like, there are outlier situations like that. That's not the rule. That's not the standard. You go across all of college football. Look at every single coach who's taken over for the first year. I don't know, dozen plus guys, maybe a couple dozen. I didn't run the numbers. I looked at all of them, though. I didn't just say that. I just didn't say it to say it. I went and looked. But all the coaches that took over for fired coaches, aside from like three guys, Mike Elko, Curt Cignetti, and I think that maybe the dude from Syracuse, but like everybody else is below 500. Like, some of them 2 wins, 1 win. And that's just the more likely scenario for the next year. I'm not saying long term, and sometimes you got to take a step back before you take a step forward, all that kind of stuff. But I'm also saying, like, if you do make a change right now, given the landscape, given the timeline that things are, you're almost assuredly going to suck next year also. So I think when you factor all that in, I think in the mind of an athletic director, it's okay, this is our best chance for success next year. If we can roll it back, if we can, invest in NIL, bring some more players in here, get Bob Petrino's offense in year 2, maybe that's our best chance at success. And you know what? If it is, great. If it's not, then, I mean, a lot of people point to Hunter Yurachek on that. It's a tough call, tough situation to be in, but I think that's probably like trying to put my athletic director hat on, thinking, that's probably the line of thinking of why 6-6 is enough, not ideal, but enough. And I think it's just enough, like based on what I've been told anyway. Like 5-7 isn't enough, 6-6 is enough. So like that's the line. All right, we're going to wrap it up. I got started a little late, had a little personal, nothing serious, just a little personal issue I had to take care of that popped up. So sorry for that, for the late start today. But we'll be back with you guys on Thursday. I don't know if I'm going to have somebody from Louisiana Tech or not. I got to reach out and find. I haven't done that yet. But hopefully we'll have somebody from Louisiana Tech on to talk about the show, talk about things. We'll have Danny West, hopefully live this time. We're going to get Connor Goodson set up on a live deal also. Just hadn't got to that yet, but we'll have Danny live on show. Feel like that's it. Don't shoot the messenger, people, just because you don't like the message. Just because you don't like the message, don't come at me. This is your old buddy Uncle Trey here, trying to help things out. All right, that's the show. Check out our friends at Ozarks Go if you haven't done so already. Need to do that real quick. ozarksgo.net/hog. I don't know why I can't bring up what I'm trying to bring up here, but I'm having trouble. There it is. ozarksgo.net/hog, HAWG. You can call them at 479-684-4900. Several different tiers of internet service. Multi-gigs, what I use. I think gigabit, the level right below that. It's a great price. It's going to be perfect for most large families. And they also offer several other different tiers. Check out our friends at ozarksgo.net/hog, HAWG. Use the promo code Biddy1. Also get a free month. All right, that's it. Appreciate you joining me. This has been Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com. See you on Thursday.